So welcome to the hot new game show, My Favorite Metric, where our contestants are going to come on board. They have 3 minutes to show you their favorite OT security metric and tell you why it is their favorite. And if I can get it out here, the first prize is $2,000 in cash. Woo! Somehow people were more excited than a free S4 ticket, but I don't know. And I have 500 in this pocket for second prize. So we got a lot of contestants. We're going to jump into it. First, I have to introduce my judges. Closest to me, we have Kyle McMillan, John Ballentine, Grace Peterson, and Maggie Morganti. Their job is to score the metric on a score from 1 to 10, and of course, high score wins. With that, let's bring out our first contestant, Ez Tahoun. Ez, come on stage. We have the clock set for 3 minutes. Are you ready, Ez?
Born ready.
Okay, let's go. You're on.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ez, and today I'm going to pitch you my favorite metric. My metric is incident root cause analysis rate. We're very used to mean time to detection, mean time to response, and incident response. I think that they would essentially help you be really, really fast because you're racing against the clock. But you're not going to really investigate everything thoroughly because you're not really KPI'd with root cause analysis. So I think that the idea of this root cause analysis would help with repeated incidents. And I've seen a lot of repeated incidents where I work. It's usually the same thing. That's why people create like playbooks or create rules in their sim or SOAR or whatever. And I think that if you fix symptoms and you only focus on fixing the traces, you never really investigate stuff. And I think that if you investigate, there are usually like a vulnerability or usually like a policy that needs to be changed or usually like someone that needs to go through like a course or something like that. And I think that if you have a higher RCA rate, you would definitely have stronger forensics and you would encourage your team to actually take some time and tune detection rules, tune some of these playbooks and actually have a better overall posture and improve how we deal with these repeated incidents. And most of the time when you talk to anybody in the SOC or anybody in incident response or investigations, they say it's always the same stuff repeated over and over. Let's deal with it. Obviously other benefits is like you identify patterns and you create new playbooks, you create new essentially detection rules and investigation playbooks. And how to improve it, you just focus on contextualization, correlation, and clustering, things that we already know we need to do, and focus on collaboration with IT and OT. Call to action at the very end, focus on tracking that RCA rate so that you help your analysts become your champions in detection engineering and become your champions in process improvements and can actually brainstorm with you instead of keep all of the focus on mean time and keep the leaders essentially in charge of the brainstorming and the process improvements. You get an actual collaboration if you share the KPIs with your team. And as you can see with my extremely academic chart that I came up with at 5 a.m., as RCA rate improves, repeated incidents decrease, false positives decrease, and you have a much better life. That's all. I appreciate you. Very humble. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Ez. So judges, please write down on your boards a score from 1 to 10.
Thank you.
Are we 1 pen short? Everyone got a score? Okay, we're going to start. Oh, Ez, you got to be out here for your scoring.
Come back.
But we'll start with you, Kyle. What do you score Ez's RCA rate?
I really like the use of vowels and consonants and the acronym of RCAR, and for that, I give the contestant a 7.
Very good. So we have 7. John, how about you?
I gave them an 8. I run a OT security program, and this would be a metric that I'm going to take back and probably ask my staff to think about doing to track it. So
wow,
good
that's
one.
Serious praise. Grace?
8.
Any reason?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
And Maggie?
Oh, you're going to hate me for this. It's a 9 for me. Because none of us have any business closing an incident until the RCA is done. And that metric is super important. So
Okay, so if my math is right, that's a score of 32 for Ez to start things off.
Very great.
Thank you, Ez.
Thank you.
We'll see how you do.
Hey guys, thank you so much.
Our next contestant is David Ong. Please welcome David to the stage. Come on up. There you go. Stay there. That's perfect.
okay.
We've got 3 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Go.
Thank you. Well, good morning, S4 Tampa. My name is David Ong. I'm from Attila Cybertech in Singapore. I guess nobody knows where Singapore, right? Yeah. It's such a tiny dot. The red dot on the map is actually bigger than the island itself, right? And Singapore is famous for something that starts with C. No, it's not cybersecurity. It's not Changi Airport. It's actually chili crab, all right? All right, let me begin. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it, right? Lord Kevin said that. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right? Peter Drucker, right? The famous and the lead management guru. So my favorite metrics, well, and hopefully it's yours too by the end of this presentation, right? Inherent cybersecurity risks exist in all ICS or digital systems, whether is it a cyber-informed engineering or you're performing a TRA on the desired outcome to generate counter or mitigating measures, right? To enhance the cybersecurity posture of the system under consideration. I know it's a bit technical. I know we have an audience that maybe just want some humor, but I have to also bring in some technical stuff, right? So I propose that when you have that countermeasures, well, the question is, how do we measure the effectiveness of such a countermeasure, right? So I propose a term called cyber risk reduction factor, and in short, CYRRF. It's a big mouthful, right? But then we can call it SURF, right? SURF as in surfing, or SURF, right? Utilize it as a matrix. It represents a straightforward calculation of current risk levels without countermeasures, and then subtract the residual risk after implementation. Again, a mouthful. Let me show you the simple example here, right? Based on the risk matrix, you have likelihood, consequence, and if you are at point A at this moment without the cyber countermeasures, applying countermeasures brings you to point B. And so SURF is A minus B, which is 16 minus 4 equals to 12. There you go. All right, that's all. And my parting shots, I want to say management is doing doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things by Peter Drucker again. And together, let's create the future for S4, for our cybersecurity industry, for OT. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, David. Stay here. You got to hear your judges. So all your judges, write things down. Write your numbers down.
Thank you, Grace.
Give it some deep thought. What is the surf worth? How high is the surf? We're going to start this time with John. John, what's your score and why?
I gave him a score of 7. I think a lot of those variables will be very subjective, and it would be hard to contrast one surf number against another. So I think it needs a little more work, but it was a great idea.
Grace?
Thanks.
I gave him a 6. I liked his thing, but it was too complicated for me.
Okay. Maggie?
I was a 7 for the same reason as John. I think Grace needs to come work for us, though, as a test of can you properly explain things to the board.
Okay. Okay. And Kyle?
I give it a 5, not because it's a bad idea, but because it's not, to my mind, particularly innovative. This is something that we use all the time.
Okay, well, I think that's a score of 25. You're currently in second place. I personally would have given you extra points for the Drucker quote, because I love Drucker. But thank you, David. Thank you very much. We'll see how you do.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next up, our next contestant is Jack Schultz. Welcome, Jack.
Oh my God.
Okay, we have 3 minutes on the clock. Is that your presentation? You ready to go?
All right.
Okay, start.
All right, so I'll be talking about the Advanced Persistent Drinker, or the APD metric. So this is not a board level metric. I'll point that out right now. So this is something internally, and the backstory here is we have a number of win sites within a geographic area that get broken into in the summer months. So there's a 4-month time span where we see these site break-ins. And these attackers, what they consistently leave is artifacts in the form of empty beer cans. So over the years, we have documented most oftenly what kind of beer it is, how many beer cans, and that's our number is looking at the kind of beer. So how can I make that actionable? Because you can clearly see the number 10, right? That's the highest number. So our attackers like cheap beer. That's easy. The second thing is we have 2 American beers and we have a Canadian beer. Can that be attribution to a nation state? Yeah, probably not. But what we can do with that information is we can work with local law enforcement and say, hey, are there local areas that sell this beer? Are there, maybe it's a convenience store that's close by. Maybe there's a camera that we can look to grab images or video and identify these individuals. Now, the second thing is the number of beers. So let's say law enforcement comes out, they identify 18 empty beer cans, right? So perhaps you have a lone wolf, champion beer drinker, but most likely you have 2, 3, 4 individuals. Now, if we're looking at, let's say 3 individuals, the average time to drink a beer, assuming they're not shotgunning it, you can assume how long they're at the site. So if I'm saying, okay, I get the door alarm from my physical security team, and I'm going to dispatch local law enforcement, how long does it take for them to get out to that site? And how long are these individuals drinking beer out there? So if we can communicate that time frame with law enforcement, maybe we can catch them in the act. Now, there was a location last year that was hit 3 times within 3 weeks. And on the 3rd time that they hit it, law enforcement was able to get there by the time our attackers were leaving. It ended up in a high-speed chase. These attackers ran a red light and a stop sign, and they're still at large. So we're going to continue to innovate, continue to observe behaviors so that we can identify who these advanced persistent drinkers are and bring them to justice. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So judges, come up with your score for the APD threat or stat metric. I will tell you that Jason Nations, this seems to be an electric sector thing because he always talked about the hold my beer threat that is rampant around substations. Are we ready, judges? Yep. Grace, let's start with you this time.
Okay, I gave him a 8 because I don't know what he was saying, but it sounded like it was funny. Okay.
Maggie, what did you rate it?
I give it an 8. It was innovative. It was fun. I think it was limited actionability for all roles.
Sector specific.
Yeah, very sector specific too. Yeah.
Kyle?
I was torn because at the beginning I thought that the metric was really going to only pull up correlation and not causation. Do the attackers drink because they are doing cybersecurity, or does cybersecurity just make them drink? But I think that you're pulling together dwell time from environmental factors. I also score an 8.
And John?
I gave him a 7. I think his style and his humor is worth at least some style points, and I just need to study it a little bit more firsthand.
Very good. You got a 31. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you.
Our next contestant is Thomas Vason. Can we send Thomas out? Now, Thomas, let's make sure we get your slides up there. The clock is set to 3 minutes. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Go.
All right, let me introduce you to John. John is the CEO of a typical European company. He understands business, money in, money out. He is not very technical. So for that reason, he hires, of course, Anna. She's been with him for a few years, and she's in charge of the OT and IT infrastructure and also the security of this. John and Anna work very well together, except during budget times. Anna wants to have more money to fix all the vulnerabilities and other problems that are arising in their infrastructure. But John doesn't understand our language. It's just noise. I don't get it. This miscommunication is very, very frustrating. She tries to explain that she needs to enable NFA in OT systems, she needs to implement threat monitoring, she needs to strengthen the DMZ and implement more 62443 zones and conduits, and it's really needed to patch and add this segmentation to avoid the CSVs that are found in the systems, and John is just frustrated. He's like, what, MFA? DMZ, 6443, CVSs, please, Anna. I don't get it. I don't get it. So Anna is trying to do her best, work like crazy, and eventually falls to sleep. I mean, she passes out in the data center one day, and that's just a dream. She remembers that during the last management meetings, John was actually extremely passionate about the sustainability program, a new program based upon the science-based targets set by the Paris Agreement to understand what the footprint on the climate is by the company, calculating the impact from manufacturing, from travel, from logistics, and everything. Then this is calculated together as a total cost and put on the balance sheet. Where it can be set off. You can buy CO2 carbon offsets, or you can make investments in order to reduce the footprint and reduce with that the cost on the sheet. And the CFO, of course, loves this. A simple calculation, accumulated depth, accumulated cost, compared to something that you can do to reduce that. So Anna came up with this idea, why don't I borrow this and use some of these metrics for my cybersecurity problem? And with that, she introduced the cybersecurity depth. As a definition, it's basically an accumulated sum of the unresolved cybersecurity risks. The outdated software, unpatched vulnerabilities, poor configurations, neglected security training, missing segmentation, etc. And just as the environmental depth, it is accumulated. In that case, it would have been how much you're polluting without remediation or what kind of...
Oh, I'm sorry, the buzzer got
that's
you.
A pity.
So,
Thank you.
Our judges. Based on what you've seen so far in the cybersecurity debt, well, I'll wait for all the judges to finish their scoring. This is a complex configuration or calculation or whatever the word I'm looking for. Maggie, let's have you go first this time.
So I gave this a 5. 2 reasons. I think to Kyle's point earlier, it's something that I do feel like we do on a pretty regular basis. So this one wasn't quite as novel for me. I have to admit, when you first came out on stage with the title, I thought this was going to be a environmental impact of us using AI to automate so much security, which I was piqued my interest quite a bit. And so I think it's a little disappointment reflection in that.
Okay, so a 5 for Maggie. Kyle, what do you have?
Give it a 6, and I'm afraid that you buried the lead. I think that if you had a little more time, we might have gotten to some great actionable information, but as it is, I was only able to see the broad strokes.
Okay, John?
I gave him an 8, and for the same reason you gave him a 5. I think if he comes back next year and does the rest of this, he might even get a 9.
And maybe we can add the scores together for the 2 years. He'll do well.
That's it.
Grace?
I gave him a 7 because he seemed to know what he was doing, but the buzzer got him.
Okay, that's great. Well, your score was a 26, and thank you. We got to use our very expensive buzzer, so thank you. Our next guest, let's bring out Vivek Ponata. Vivek, come on out. And Vivek, I don't believe you have any slide. You have such confidence in your oration that you're going to just do it, right?
Absolutely, yes,
and
sir.
You ready? We got 3 minutes on the clock.
Excellent.
Go.
All right, so we all have laughed at pew pew maps Every time someone says, my firewall has been hit by 1 million attacks per second, we all laughed at it, right? So my question is, do we need security-only metrics? Number of sensors, number of sites? I would say we don't. We need metrics that matter to us, right? We need metrics that relate to us. So nothing beats dollars and safety in that regard. So in finance, we have a lot of metrics, right, that use numbers. EBITDA over earnings, cost of goods sold over revenue. So why don't we use that? They're all relative, right? They're useful because you can compare industry to industry, company to company, trending over time. So here's what I propose. A family of metrics, security over safety ratios, SSR, okay? They're a family because there are many things that you can do with safety and dollars. Number one, for financial, right? Let's use security investment dollars over safety investment dollars and track it over time, right? You can't say we take security seriously and not invest anything throughout the year. What you invest in is based on your industry, your vertical, your risk tolerance, whatever the case might be. We all know that security and safety are somewhat related, right? There are safety impacts for a lot of security decisions. So track security dollars over safety dollars. And over time, you can just measure yourself if you're doing well or compare with others that are investing more or less in one or the other. So that's for financial. I have two more, operational. So one is severe alerts over near misses ratio. How many of you every week force your colleagues, your employees to make sure that they record near misses, right? Same thing with alerts. Let's track severe alerts over near misses. And that's a trend that you can track over time, month to month, year to year. The second one is security incidents over safety incidents. How many of us want safety incidents? We don't, but we document them, we record them. We use man hours to track when was the last accident, right? So we've tracked all that for safety. We can do the same for security incidents. So overall, let's connect security dollars and activities and incidents with safety. So collectively, they can connect to us. We have an established safety rigor in the ICS OT space. Let's do the same with security. That's it, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. So judges, please come up with a score for the security over safety ratio, SSR. Grace giving this deep thought. Okay, John, you're up first.
I gave him a 6. I think he had quite a few metrics kind of jumbled together there, and I didn't quite understand everything, but it sounds like he's headed in the right direction.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Grace?
I gave him a 7 because he seemed like he knew what he was doing.
Okay.
I certainly hope so, so thank you.
Maggie?
I gave him an 8 for the opposite reason that John did. I think that sometimes we want to oversimplify metrics, and I thought that what you gave was very comprehensive and detailed, and it seemed like something that we could action and get to a meaningful conclusion.
And Kyle?
You know, I struggled with this one because I really hate the idea of placing security and safety in opposition to each other. You're literally taking the difference between them. But I have to say, I gave him an 8 just because you're at least having that conversation and opening it up in a new way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, judges. Vivek, your score is a 29.
All right,
so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. And our final contestant on My Favorite Metric is Enrique Dominguez. Enrique, come on stage, please. All right. And you also are confident without slides, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 3 minutes on the clock. You ready? Okay, go.
Perfect. So I think there is beauty in simplicity, and I think, therefore, there can be beauty as well in a metric. And this metric is quite simple, in fact, maybe even too simple for the judges, but I think it's where the beauty is. Okay, so my metric is the critic vulnerability closure rate. So quite simple. You only have to divide the number of critical vulnerabilities that you have fixed in a fixed period of time against the number of total vulnerabilities, critical vulnerabilities that you have discovered. So it's a very straightforward metric. You have data that is very objective, plenty available. You have this data already available in the tools. It gives you a single number, very objective, that is driven to action. So therefore, it goes you to continuous improvement. So that's something actionable. And as well, it's very, very easy to understand for the top management, as well for the technical teams. Everybody together understand this kind of metric. So I think altogether, that focus on action, continuous improvement, easy to understand, that it is available. Therefore, that's why it's one of the favorite metrics that I've been using for many years.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, judges, please write down your score for Enrique's critical vulnerability closure rate. And the clock wasn't working, so you could have filibustered. Are we ready? Everyone got their score? Okay. Maggie, we'll start with you this time. We'll go backwards.
I gave this one a 7. I think it's pretty actionable. I think I would have liked to see it almost detailed out a little bit more.
Okay, Grace, before you go, we want to, can the camera get a close-up of her shoes? Just for you when you leave the craft beer bash, and if you have kids, we've got S4 croc charms for your kids. So she's modeling them out there, and Grace also has S4 pins if you're looking for a pin. But Grace, what did you score?
I gave him a 7. He seemed to really like what he was doing. He chose.
Okay. John.
I gave him a 7 as well. I think he has he's onto something, and I think he's going to be able to go back to his employer and sell that.
Very good. And Kyle?
I gave him a 9 because it is a very simple metric, but it forces 2 different parts of an organization to work together, those that are fixing the vulnerabilities and those that are finding them, and I think there's a lot of value there.
Good. Well, that's a very good score of 30. Thank you very much, Enrique. So now I need to do the advanced tabulation of the scores to find our winner here. So in second place, if our contestants can get ready to come out in case they won, in second place with a score of 31 points is Jack Schultz. Advanced persistent drinker, congratulations. His 500 should go a long way towards that. Thank you for second place. And go ahead, sit here. And our winner is Ez Tahoun with a score just barely beat you, 32. Ez, come on out. You want me to throw this up to the audience?
All the way up.
Here you go, $2,000. Congratulations. You won my favorite metric. All right, good stuff. Thank you to our contestants. Thank you to our judges. Thank you to our kind audience. And we'll be back next year.